As a carpenter, I only built, but war forced a gun into my hands. The greatest pain is having to destroy what I hold dear.
My name is Leo Markov. I am 32 years old and I died in a desolate wasteland of mud, fire and ice. Before all this, my life was small. And I mean that in the most profound and beautiful sense of the word. I was not a soldier. I was a carpenter in the quiet, isolated mountain village. I loved the scent of pine in the morning and the reassuring weight of a hammer in my hand. My world was defined by the feel of solid wood, the clean lines of a perfectly fitted joint, and the quiet satisfaction of mending a broken chair. My life revolved around these simple, perfect things. I was married to the most beautiful woman I have ever known, my Anna. Her spirit was as wild as the mountain winds, and her laugh could make the birds sing. We had a little boy, Sasha, with her deep, dark eyes and a laugh that could chase away any storm. My life was about fixing things, about the warmth of the stews Anna made on cold evenings, and about teaching Sasha the names of the stars that burned so brightly in our mountain sky. Our faith was a quiet habit, a part of the rhythm of our life. We attended church on Sundays, a small stone building that smelled of incense and old wood. I prayed, but perhaps the way a bird sings or a tree grows, without much thought, a simple, unconscious act of being. I never thought about war. I never thought about death. I just thought about getting a new roof on our house before the first snows came. My world was about building, about creating. Then the world changed. A chilling wind of conflict swept across the land, and the man who built things was given a gun and told to break them. I became a soldier. The quiet rhythm of my life was shattered by the deafening roar of cannons and the incessant, bone-deep cold. Every day was a fight for survival, a constant ache of missing home. I missed the smell of wood more than the taste of food. I missed the sound of my wife's laughter more than the sound of my own voice. I missed the weight of my son in my arms more than I missed the warmth of a fire. The day it happened, it was just like any other. Cold, gray. The air was thick with the scent of wet dirt and gunpowder. We were moving through a stand of skeletal trees, their bare branches like the gnarled fingers of a dead hand. There was a whistle, a sound that a soldier learns to hate more than anything, a high-pitched shriek of pure malice. I remember thinking about Anna, just a flash of her face, of her smiling at me from the kitchen doorway. That was it. Then a sound so loud it wasn't a sound anymore. It was just pressure and fire, and then nothing. A complete, deafening silence. The pain was gone, the cold was gone, the fear was all gone. I felt light. I opened my eyes, but it wasn't my body's eyes. It was something else, something deeper. I was floating, just gently rising up like a piece of ash from a fire. Below me, I saw the scene. The trees were black and broken, the frozen mud, the dark, scarred canvas. I saw bodies, the bodies of my friends, twisted and still. And then I saw my own body. It was lying there, a broken, lifeless thing. There was so much blood. It was strange. I felt a profound sadness, like I was looking at a tragic movie, but I didn't feel afraid. It was like I was disconnected from it all, a silent observer of my own demise. I heard the shouts of my fellow soldiers, but they were faint, like they were coming from a million miles away. I knew I was dead. The thought didn't scare me. It was just a fact. Like knowing the sky is blue. I just was. And I was okay. A deep, deep peace started to fill me up. A peace I had never felt on earth, not even in the happiest moments with my family. This was a peace that went to the very core of me, a stillness that healed the wounds of war and life. Then I felt a pull, a gentle, loving pull. I turned from the desolate scene below me, and I saw a light. At first it was far away, like a single star burning in the velvet blackness, but it grew bigger and bigger. It wasn't a blinding light, it was warm, it was inviting, it felt alive. I wasn't moving towards it with my body. My soul, my spirit, whatever you want to call it, was just drawn to it like a cold man being drawn to a warm fire after a long walk through the snow.
As I got closer, the light took on a shape. It was a man. I couldn't see his face clearly at first because the light coming from him was so bright, so pure. But this light wasn't just light, it was love. I know that sounds strange. How can light be love? But it was. Every part of me felt it. It was a love that was more real than the ground I used to walk on. It was a love that knew everything about me. Every bad thought, every selfish thing I ever did, every lie, every wound I had ever inflicted or received. It knew all of it, and it didn't matter. I was loved completely. Not for what I did, but just for who I was, a broken, weary soul. Tears filled my eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of pure, unadulterated relief. The weight of my whole life just melted away. The dirt of the world, the anger of the war, my own failures and regrets, it all just vanished in his presence. Finally, I was standing before him, and I could see his face. It was the Creator. I knew it instantly. Not from the pictures in church. The pictures are nothing. They are like a child's drawing of the sun. He was real, more real than anything I had ever seen. His eyes are what I remember most. They weren't blue or brown. They were made of light and kindness and a wisdom as old as time. When he looked at me, I felt like I was the only person in the universe. He saw me, the real me, the little boy who was scared of the dark, the man who loved his wife so much, the soldier who was so tired of killing. He saw it all, and his eyes were full of love. He didn't speak with a mouth. His voice was in my head, in my heart, everywhere at once. It was a voice that was both a thunder and a whisper. And the first thing he said to me was, "Welcome home, my child. Be at peace." And I was. I just stood there, crying in his light. I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't need anything else. I was home. After a time, a measure of time I cannot comprehend, he spoke again. His voice was so gentle, but it had a sadness in it, a deep, cosmic grief that echoed through all of creation. "Leo," he said, "I need to show you something." The light around us changed. We weren't in that place of perfect peace anymore. We were floating above the earth. I could see the continents, the vast blue oceans, the swirling white clouds. It was beautiful, so breathtakingly perfect. "This is my creation," he said. "I love it. I love every person on it, but they have forgotten me." Then he showed me things. It wasn't like watching a movie. I was in it. I could feel it, the deep spiritual rot. First, he showed me a family in a sprawling, anonymous city. They were sitting around a table full of food, but no one was talking. The father was lost in his phone, his face angry from something he was reading. The mother was staring at her own little screen, a look of profound loneliness on her face. The children were playing games on their own devices, their faces illuminated by a pale, artificial light. They were all together, a physical assembly, but they were completely alone, their hearts a million miles apart. "They have everything," the Creator said, his voice a sorrowful sigh, "but they are empty. Their hearts are not connected to each other because they are not connected to me. This is where the darkness starts, and the little empty spaces." Then the scene changed. He showed me a church. People were singing loud songs. Their hands were raised to the sky in a show of devotion. But the Creator showed me their hearts. One man was thinking about how much money he needed to make that week. A woman was judging the clothes of the person next to her. The preacher was thinking about how popular his sermon would be online. Their prayers were like little bits of smoke that just rose a few feet and disappeared into the indifferent air. "They honor me with their lips," he said, and the sadness in his voice was almost too much to bear. "But their hearts are so far from me. They ask for things, but they do not ask for me. They want my blessings, but they do not want my heart. Their prayers do not have power because they are not filled with love." I felt a deep, piercing shame. My own prayers had been like that so many times, just lists of things I wanted, things I thought I needed. Not a real conversation with the God who loved me more than I could ever comprehend. Then he showed me something else. And this is the hardest part to talk about. My whole being trembles when I remember it. He showed me the leaders of the world. Not just one country, but many. I saw them in their important rooms, around their big tables, surrounded by the flags of their nations. And I saw the spirits that were whispering in their ears. They were dark, twisted things, a legion of fear and pride. They whispered about power, about domination, about fear. They told the leaders that the only answer was to be stronger than their enemies, to build bigger weapons, to never back down. The leaders couldn't see them, but they were listening, their faces a mask of ambition and anxiety.
"This is the great deception," the Creator said to me. "They put their faith in weapons of mass destruction. They believe these things will keep them safe. They are building their own towers of Babel made of steel and fire. They do not understand that true strength comes from surrender. True safety comes from trusting in me." And then he showed me what happens next. The vision shifted again, and my soul was plunged into an abyss of horror. I saw a flash, a light brighter than 1,000 suns, a searing, blinding white. It was on the horizon of a country, a place I did not recognize, but it didn't matter. It was a place where people lived and loved. Then a giant cloud rose up into the sky, a mushroom cloud. But what he showed me was not just the fire. He showed me the souls. I felt it. I felt a million voices crying out all at once, a symphony of fear, pain, and confusion. Families vaporized in a second. I saw the spirits of mothers looking for their children. I saw the spirits of children, lost and terrified, drifting like smoke on the wind. The wave of death and grief washed over me. It was a pain so total, so absolute that I collapsed in his presence, my spirit trembling. I couldn't bear it. And I saw the demons. They were laughing. They were celebrating because every soul lost in fear and anger was a victory for them. Then I saw another flash and another on the other side of the world. Retaliation, pride, fear, more flashes, more cities turning to dust. I saw London, I saw Moscow, I saw my own capital. I saw them as beautiful cities full of life. And then I saw them as smoking holes in the ground. The sky of the earth turned dark with ash. The air became poison. The water became poison. I saw the people who survived. They were starving. They were sick. They were killing each other for a piece of bread or a drink of clean water. There were no countries anymore. There were no flags. There was only suffering. It was hell on earth, a hell created by man's own hands, by their own pride and fear. I lay there weeping, my spiritual form rocked with a grief so immense it felt like it would tear me apart. "Please," I begged him, "please make it stop. You can stop it. You are God." The Creator knelt beside me. The light from him was softer now, a gentle embrace. He placed a hand on my back and a wave of peace flowed into me, pushing back the horror just enough so I could breathe. "My child," he said, and his voice was breaking with a divine sorrow. "This is the path they are choosing. This is the fruit of decades of cold hearts, of prayerless homes, of prideful nations. I do not want this. My Father does not want this. Every soul that is lost is a universe of pain to us." He looked at me, his eyes pleading. I am holding it back. The prayers of the faithful, the true ones, the humble ones, they are like pillars holding back a collapsing dam. But there are not enough. The dam is cracking. Man's heart is growing colder.
They love their opinions more than they love each other. They trust their bombs more than they trust me. So it's hopeless, I asked, my spirit trembling with despair. It's going to happen. Nothing is hopeless while I am on the throne, he said, and for the first time I felt a wave of pure power and authority from him that shook the heavens. But I do not force my will on man. I offer them a choice. This is the future they are building without me, but it does not have to be this way. He showed me another vision, a glimpse of a different path. He showed me a small group of women in a basement in India praying. Their prayers were like a brilliant pillar of light, a force of pure grace going straight up into heaven, pushing back the spiritual darkness. He showed me a man in Africa forgiving the people who had hurt his family. As he forgave them, a spiritual shield of light formed over his village, a barrier against the spirits of hatred and revenge. He showed me a teenager in Brazil who chose to praise God instead of giving in to despair, and her praise confused the dark spirits that were trying to torment her family. Look, the Creator said, this is the weapon that can win this war, not bombs. Love, forgiveness, humble prayer, repentance. A single heart that truly turns back to me can change the future of a family. A family that turns back to me can change the future of a city. A city that turns back to me can change the future of a nation. He looked deep into me, and to the very core of my soul. I did not show you this to fill you with fear. I showed you this to fill you with a holy fire. Fear is their weapon. Hope is mine.
I understood. I finally understood. The real war wasn't on the battlefield with guns and tanks. It was in the hearts of every single person on the planet. The spiritual battlefield was the human soul. I felt a calm settle over me, a strange, terrible peace. I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't want to. I wanted to stay here with you, I said, the words catching in my throat. Please don't make me go back. It's so ugly down there. It's so cold. I remembered the mud, the blood, the hate in men's eyes. Here, there was only love. He smiled, a sad, gentle smile. He put his hand on my cheek. Leo, my brave soldier, your war is not over. I'm sending you back as a messenger. You have seen what is coming. You have seen the only way out. Go and tell them. Tell them to wake up. But I am nobody, I said. I am just a carpenter, a simple soldier. Who will listen to me? You will not be alone, he said. His voice was full of a promise that was stronger than any army. I will be with you. I will give you the words. You just have to be willing to speak. Tell them to stop fighting over flags and pieces of land. Tell them to start fighting the real enemy, the hatred and pride in their own hearts. Tell them to pray, not empty words, but prayers from a broken and humble heart. Tell them that their prayers are holding back the darkness. Tell them that I love them and I am waiting. The thought of leaving him was the worst pain I had ever felt. Worse than the explosion. Worse than seeing the end of the world. It was a tearing of my soul. I begged him, please let me stay. Your family needs you, he whispered. Anna, little Sasha, you have work to do. But do not worry, this is not goodbye. I will be waiting for you when your work is done. He leaned forward and kissed my forehead. An explosion of pure love and light went through my entire being. It was a final, perfect act of commissioning. And then I was falling down. Down. Back into the darkness. Back into the cold. I gasped. The most painful gasp of my life. My chest felt like it was on fire. I was cold. So incredibly cold. My whole body was screaming in pain. Someone was shouting my name. He's breathing. Leo is breathing. Get the medic. My eyes fluttered open. The sky was still gray, but I could smell the mud and something sharp like medicine. A young man, a medic, was leaning over me. His face was pale with shock. Hold on, son, he said, his voice shaking. Just hold on. I was put on a stretcher. Everything was a blur of noise and pain. Later, in a field hospital, a doctor came to see me. He was an older man with tired eyes. He looked at my chart, then at me. "I don't understand it," he said, shaking his head. "You were gone. No heartbeat, no breath for at least 10 minutes. Medically, that's impossible. And the shrapnel, it was everywhere. It shredded your vest. It should have shredded your heart, but it's like it just stopped a few millimeters from your heart wall. I've been a doctor for 30 years. I've never seen anything like it." I just lay there. I wept. Not from the pain in my body. I wept because I had just left heaven. I wept because I missed him, and I knew what was coming if the world didn't change. So that is my story. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a special person. I'm a carpenter who was sent to a war he didn't want and saw something he can never forget. The Creator sent me back with a message for you, for everyone. He said to tell you that the time is short. The world is standing on the edge of a cliff. The leaders are being deceived, and they are putting their faith in weapons that will only lead to our destruction. But there is hope. The hope is you. The hope is in your heart. If you are listening to this, he is calling to you. He's asking you to choose a side. Not a country, not a political party. He's asking you to choose him. The war for the future is not fought with guns or laws, but with prayer, forgiveness, and love. So, will you join me in the true fight? The fight to turn the tide one heart at a time. My journey from a field of death was not a miracle of luck, but a mandate from the one who holds all creation in his hands. I was a man of simple tools, but I was given a truth more powerful than any weapon. A single, humble heart can hold back a storm of destruction. The world is a cacophony of fear and division, a ticking clock of our own making. But he showed me a path to silence it all. He told me the future, and he showed me the way to change it. So I implore you, don't just watch this story, but let it be the first step in your own. Subscribe to this channel and let us embark on this journey together, learning to wield the only true power that can save us all.